The lore of GTA Online is very expansive, which can make it hard to follow along with some things, so today I will make it easy for you and explain many lore scenarios in GTA Online. Subscribe to become a follower today. Only 10% of you guys are subscribed, so let's make it 11%. Hell yeah. Thank you to my channel members. And let's dive in. The shark card is known to us as a microtransaction Rockstar added to make some extra money, but did you know that it actually exists in the world of GTA Online? You can find advertisements for it around the map. I guess in the game it's a credit card or a debit card, but it's nice that Rockstar actually implemented it into the lore, but it's still not nice that they added it. One of the more slightly well-known lore facts is that Paleto Bay is next to a river in the lore. It's the reason why the getaway route for the Paleto Score heist in story mode involved Franklin sourcing a boat for the crew to escape in, but of course that doesn't happen. It's a bit annoying when Rockstar just tells us that something is supposed to be there when there's nothing for us to physically see, but regardless, the map continues further north after Paleto Bay, which creates a river. Our character has been to jail only once in the lore. Jody Marshall mentions how we've been indicted for multiple crimes including robbing just about everywhere and everyone, but we've only been caught once, and that is when we first make our character. It's why we're in the Mission Row police station taking a mugshot. Kind of surprising we haven't been caught since, but I guess it does make sense. Something we can also observe about our time in jail is that we can see our character is about 6 foot flat, as when we're holding our jail card, our head just barely touches 6 feet. You cannot change the height of your character, so this goes regardless of how you customize your character. In short, basically the entire downfall of Sandy Shores and Grapeseed in the lore can be chalked down to the pollution of the Alamo Sea. Both of them were more or less tourist towns that heavily relied on tourism from the lake, but when it became dangerous to swim in, people stopped traveling to both of the towns, leaving them how they are today. Our character does not talk in the game. Some people have commented on my past videos saying that your voice in game chat is your character's voice, but that simply isn't true. In multiple cutscenes over the years, many different characters have commented on us being quiet and not saying anything at all, which means that we truly are muted people in the lore of GTA Online. In Agents of Sabotage, we gained the ability to buy the garment factory as a business, but the building burned in story mode, right? So what's up with that? Well, basically it was just rebuilt. What's interesting is that all these years later, you can still see the burn marks from the fire on the outside of the building. GTA 5 for the most part replaces real life people with parodies of those individuals, but that is not true for the money in GTA. You can see real presidents on the face of the bill, like for example Benjamin Franklin on the face of the $100 bill. This is likely because if Rockstar replaced everyone with fake figures, then the game would become too cartoony and obviously satirical, so they keep some important people as real in the GTA universe. Because GTA 5 is set in San Andreas, which is GTA 5's version of California, and the timeline is up to date with modern times, the weed business is no longer illegal. All we will need is a license to sell the stuff, and we would be fine selling it openly because weed is not illegal in California anymore as of today. Even if you just created a brand new character, when you play the recent updates, characters will treat you as if you already played all of GTA Online's existing content prior to that update. For example, when you first buy the garment factory, Jody Marshall mentions multiple charges on you for many criminal activities and whatnot that refer to your actions in prior updates. Imani famously also says to Franklin when he asks who do we rob, she says according to my research, everybody. Rockstar just assumes that you have played every update in the lore of GTA Online at this point, which does make sense, but for newer players it can definitely be a bit confusing. Martin Madrazo doesn't live at his ranch La Fuente Blanca anymore and instead rents it out to wealthy clients. We know this to be true because for the final mission of the casino work missions, Thornton tells us Avery Duggan is renting out the ranch. We know that Madrazo still owns it, but he just doesn't live there anymore. Instead, he probably lives at his Vinewood Hills estate. Our character has never eaten food. That is a true statement. We have drank stuff as we can drink beer, and in some of our properties there's like juices and liquors, but we've never actually been seen eating food. I wonder how we're still alive. There's information that says Chop is 5 years old during the events of GTA 5 story mode. Taking that into account, by the time he is seen again during the events of the contract, he would have been 13 years old. Today he would be around 17 years old. What's sad is that Rottweilers are known to live around 8 to 15-ish years, and that's on the high end. Unfortunately now, Chop would likely be dead at 17 years old or younger, as that greatly outpaces the life expectancy of Rottweilers. Of course, this isn't confirmed, and I don't know if I want it to be, but just based on statistics, Chop is no longer here. He simply just got too old. Now this one is more or less still debated to this day, so I'll give you both sides. I'm referring to the first time you die in GTA Online. A cutscene plays of Chris Formage telling you that he has given you another chance, and in fact you are now basically eternal, invulnerable, as he gives you the power to come back after death. Some people believe that this was just a little gimmick from Rockstar that sort of explains how we're able to come back after death all the time, but some people believe that we were only truly alive one time, and that was before you died. Now that we're dead, we're in an eternal purgatory, a world of other dead people just committing crimes like crazy. It's quite interesting to think about, and there is no concrete answer to it to this day. Trevor Phillips kills basically every member of the Lost MC along with the president Johnny Klebitz in the story mode. However, the Lost MC have appeared numerous times in GTA Online since then, so what gives? Well, motorcycle clubs generally have what they call chapters of the club. Trevor just killed the Sandy Shores or the Blaine County chapter of the Lost MC off. That's why we're still able to see the Lost in Los Santos. It's just a different chapter of the motorcycle club. Lamar still has his Emperor that we see him drive in the story mode. You can find it parked at the agency sometimes on the bottom floor of the garage, and Lamar has since made some modifications to it since we last saw it in 2013. Our character initially comes to Los Santos on a plane that lands at LSIA, but it's never explained in the lore where we came from and why we left to come here. I always thought playing this game as a little kid that it would be explained to us one day, but GTA Online is just about over. I'm not really a little kid anymore, and it's still unexplained. Agent 14 single-handedly brought the timeline up to date when he said it's 2017 in some mission some time ago. At the time, this confused just about everyone because we all thought the timeline was already up to date at this point, but it actually wasn't. Rockstar decided to update the timeline with this one dialogue, and it's been up to date ever since. As we've already established, GTA Online at its start took place before the events of story mode. This led to some interesting map changes like the sunken cargo plane not being in the Alamo Sea since Trevor sunk that plane during the events of story mode. However, as we have also established, GTA Online now takes place in the present, so by now that plane should have been there since it happened over a decade ago. You could say that the plane was salvaged or something, but there are so many sea wrecks around the map that have been there since day one. I think it's just a bit of an oversight. The Open Road is a website that we use for the MC business, and it is GTA Online's version of the Silk Road, which was a black market website in real life that existed for about 2 years before the FBI arrested the founder of the site. It seems that this is how we find buyers for the drugs we sell in the MC businesses. UFOs canonically exist in GTA Online. We can see one model that has FIB written on the outside of the UFO. If it was added as just a gimmick, Rockstar wouldn't tie a real entity to its existence. Unfortunately, we've never been able to buy one, but maybe for a final update that would be cool. Not really sure how they would explain that in the lore, but I'm sure they could. Agent 14 no longer works for the IAA. He was let go after the Doomsday scenario, and since we last saw him, he was boarding Mr. Faber's plane, who is sort of a criminal kingpin of sorts. What he could possibly be doing talking to Faber is unknown, but I reckon we will find out more in the next update as GTA Online winds down. It seems that Fabian, the yoga instructor, made an app for yoga after story mode. We can find his app on a phone in some of our apartments that says Detox with Fabian. Despite this, however, we cannot do yoga in GTA Online. There's a map inside the barbershop that shows a lot of the world submerged in water, or so it seems. This has given fuel to the theory that the world that the GTA universe takes place in had a massive disaster that submerged half the world in water. This, however, is likely just an oversight by Rockstar. The map is faded or something like that because the flooded areas make no sense. The coastlines of most of these areas are perfectly fine, but the middle is somehow flooded as we see in Australia. But what really cements the fact that this is just an oversight and that the world wasn't flooded is the fact that Nepal is underwater. If you look at where Nepal would be on the map, it is flooded. Nepal houses Mount Everest, which let's just say would be quite hard to become submerged in water because it's the tallest mountain in the world. The green paint on this map probably just chipped off over time because there's no way it flooded. It just makes no sense. Despite us attacking Merryweather numerous times throughout the events of GTA Online, we are still able to use their services to this day. Surely they've got to know who we are and what we've done to them. I mean, there was a whole update, San Andreas Mercenaries, that was dedicated to attacking Merryweather multiple times. Lamar will treat you differently depending on if you are a boy or a girl on multiple occasions. When you first land in Los Santos, he gives you a rose before giving you a gun if you're a woman. If you're a man, he just gives you the gun. When we meet him in the agency, he will also flirt with the female characters and not the males. It seems that Lamar has a sweet spot for the ladies. Laszlo was the first true cameo in GTA Online. He was the first to appear as himself in the game. Most recently, of course, Dr. Dre came along with some others who also played as themselves in the contract, but Laszlo had a real role in the story and of course in the update After Hours. But he's likely not returning as Laszlo in real life left Rockstar some time ago. Fathom is an in-game car brand that is based on Infinity, Nissan's luxury, or so they say, subsidiary. What's funny is that because it's based on Infinity and the brand can only have Infinity based cars, it doesn't have many cars. Matter of fact, it only has 2. Infinity really hasn't made any compelling products lately, and the in-game brand represents that perfectly. The price of gas in the United States rose a significant amount a couple of years ago, and the gas price in GTA Online also canonically rose as well. In Operation Paper Trail, the main premise is that the Duggins make their money from the expensive oil they produce. It also released at around the same time when the price of gas rose casinos in real life around the summer of 2022, which means that GTA Online canonically has high gas prices. It's rumored that the casino was supposed to be in GTA Online much earlier, possibly even since day one of the game. There was supposed to be horses that you can bet on, hence why there is a horse racing track right outside of it. Before the diamond was there was actually a casino, but it wasn't usable. Perhaps the complications of gambling laws in many countries halted the process of making the casino, because even to this day that is a problem with the casino. In some countries that you're in, you cannot gamble, which means that you cannot use the casino, not even the lucky wheel. But of course it got added many years later, but horses have yet to be added as well. The Mount Gordo ghost will not show herself if you are behind her. She can only be seen head on, which is a bit eerie. Maybe it's a nod to how she died. Jock Cranley allegedly pushed her off the mountain and she was likely trying to fight back at him, but it wasn't enough. There are many phone providers in the world of GTA 5 Online, and you may have wondered which one we use. We actually use Tinkle, which is GTA's version of T-Mobile. The two main providers are Tinkle and Badger, and you can tell we use Tinkle by looking at their logo in the corner of our phone. KOIAER, the same company that makes electric cars, also makes the Railgun. I guess it shows how companies mask their true intentions with other things in real life. You can tell KOIAER makes the Railgun because they put their logo on the side of it. Not very discreet at all, but maybe they're not trying to be. GTA Online canonically takes place in the same universe that Manhunt takes place in. We know this to be true because on the way to the bank in Polito in story mode, Michael mentions robbing a place on the outskirts of Karso City, which is the same city that Manhunt takes place in. Of course, GTA Online is in the same universe as story mode, which means that Karso City also exists in GTA Online. A lot of people wonder why the Mile High building has not been finished yet this late into GTA Online. Truth be told, it will never be finished, at least in my opinion. Rockstar keeps making missions that utilize the Mile High building in its deconstructed state. If they plan to finish the building, they would have stopped making missions involving it a long time ago. It would just be strange in the story of GTA Online to have the Mile High building in its construction state and its finished state at the same time. Rockstar would also have to delete or make new missions that replace the ones that include the building during construction. I had hopes for it a while ago, but it's gone now. And I would love to be wrong, but unfortunately, I don't think I will be. It's implied that before the heist update, our character was asking Lester for jobs such as robbing the Pacific Standard Bank. When we first meet him to discuss the heist, he says, "I know you've been begging, but you weren't ready." It's funny because how exactly were we asking him for jobs if we don't talk? Perhaps over email or something, but regardless, this happens off screen in GTA Online's lore. We never actually ask him for jobs before meeting him. Burger Shot, the fast food chain, goes back to as far as GTA Vice City in the lore. It was just a small location called the Burger Shot before it expanded to become a chain restaurant in later GTA games. There are multiple locations around the map of GTA 5, but we cannot go inside of them and eat. You could in the prior game GTA 4, which was a bit odd for them to remove from 5, but unfortunately they did. Just outside the Humane Labs is a little shack. Sometimes you can find men in suits standing outside the shack just smoking and standing around. Nobody really knows why they're here, but there are some theories. Some people believe that these are workers from the Humane Labs, maybe security that are just taking a break outside the lab. Others believe that they are guarding whatever is inside this shack. We've never actually been able to go inside here, so we don't know for sure. All we know is that something strange is definitely happening here because it just seems too random to have guys in suits standing outside this shack. Franklin's special driving ability is canonically recognized in the game. In the short trip missions with Lamar mentions how his eyes get weird when he drives sometimes, and Franklin kind of just brushes it off, but it's cool that it's not just a gameplay element, but it's also recognized in the lore. Martin Madrazo has always been in a Range Rover based vehicle in GTA 5 and GTA Online. When we first meet him in story mode, he's being driven in a baller that is based on an L322 Range Rover. When we most recently saw him in Money Fronts, he was being driven in a Baller STD, which is based on the most recent Range Rover. I guess he has a thing for the British. Bobcat Security was recently added to the game as a courier service you can do for money, but Bobcat Security has a much longer history in the story. They do transport in North Yankton as well. In the prologue of GTA 5, we rob a cash depot, and outside the building we can see Bobcat security trucks. It seems that they expanded their services to Los Santos after doing some business in Ludendorff. There's a house in the Vinewood Hills that usually has civilians hanging out around. However, there is something strange about these civilians. If you barely touch them, they will die, and I mean barely. If you barely brush them, they will just fall to the ground and die. There are two theories as to why this is. Some people think that this is some eerie serial killer's home, as there's a red arrow pointing to the home just down the street. Others, and myself included, however, believe that this is just a bug. There are other NPCs on the map that also die just by touching them. This is just a bit coincidental, but the red arrow is a bit jarring. There's a cross that can be found on top of a mountain near the lighthouse. It's never explained why this cross is here and who was buried here, and there's not really any theories as to why either. The Mount Gordo ghost is not seen too far from here, so perhaps this is where she was buried. but we'll never know. There's a long underwater trench in the ocean to the east part of the map. It goes quite deep down, so much so that you can't actually reach the bottom without your submarine or car imploding from the pressure. I think it's cool that they added this because they never did anything with it, and you can't even go all the way down. They literally just did it because they wanted to. A nice detail that rarely anyone notices. There's a prep mission for the casino heist where you go and steal a rival gang's drills for the vault, insinuating that multiple crews are attempting to rob the diamond. Of course, in the story canonically, we are the only ones to actually rob it, but if you take it at face value, there are other gangs attempting to rob the diamond in the lore. Solomon Richards filmed a movie in Liberty City. We can see a framed photo hanging in his office of him on set of a movie, probably on top of a building and looking out into the city. We never see this play out in story mode or online, but at least it's a nice reference to the past, of course GTA 4. If you go to Cayo Perico when it's nighttime in Los Santos, it will be day in Cayo Perico. This makes sense as Cayo Perico is supposed to be in the Caribbean, so it would be in a different time zone than Los Santos, but it's still cool that Rockstar took that into account. At the Altruist camp, just about every house has their chimney on, but you might wonder why. San Andreas is pretty hot, they don't wear clothes, so why would they need more heat? Well, that's precisely the answer. Most members don't wear much clothes, and keep in mind this far north of the map is likely colder than the southern parts. Not to mention they live in the mountains. Having a fireplace helps them stay warm up in the mountains since they don't wear clothes, or at least not much. The Los Santos Customs in Paleto Bay is the only independent mod shop aside from Benny's. It's actually not a Los Santos Customs at all, but an independent shop named Beaker's Garage. It functions like a Los Santos Customs, but it just doesn't carry the name. You'd think that Los Santos Customs would be exclusive to Los Santos because, I mean, it is in the name, but there is one in Blaine County, which is a bit odd. That wouldn't even be in Los Santos County. They're two different counties entirely, so, I mean, whatever that means. Thank you all for watching, and I truly mean that. Life has been a bit busy and a tad bit stressful lately, but every time I work on a video, I remember how much support you guys show me in the comments, and it just keeps me going, so thank you. Thank you to my channel members, which for the month of October are as follows. Thank you to Anawack, KOIAER, Karso, Agaro, PAARTHUR, Radioactive 661, Jetari, and GooBirdz. I greatly appreciate you guys. I appreciate you all. Please have a great day or night or evening. Stay safe. I'll see you all later, and goodbye. Hey, hey, look, hey, look, hey, look. You better subscribe, because if you do not, I might cry. You better subscribe, I ran up the bands in GTA 5. You better subscribe, because if you do not, you might cry. You better subscribe, because if you don't, I might die. You better subscribe, I'm about to go crazy on the beat. You better subscribe, hey, wait for the beat to drop. Ooh, you better subscribe, hey, you better subscribe, I'm out of breath. You better subscribe,